Ah, don't you just love the moment when you first run your game and can control your character moving around an empty room? Seeing your creation with all its potential unrealised, not yet corrupted by this foul world. This must be what it's like to give birth. I hear Mario 64 was just Mario in an empty room for like the first year of development, until they were sure they'd perfected his movement. Fortunately, I don't have such lofty expectations, so let's corrupt this motherfucker. There we go. Each passenger consists of 4 sprites being drawn separately: the torso, the legs, the head, and the face. This is so that all 4 bits can move around independently to create animation on the fly. Currently, they're all white because I'm a racist. Not really, it's because I want to randomize skin and clothing color, and the initial sprite needs to be grayscale before I multiply colors onto it in the code. So let's do that now. That's looking more diverse, isn't it? So some adjustments to the initial blueprint have had to be made. Only the passenger being highlighted gets a big zoomed-in view, as showing the entire row felt like too much for the screen space available. And it was only after I set up the passengers that my dumb arse realised that you can't bloody well see if their belt's undone, because of the passenger in front. I want the player to be scanning the crowd for errors, not inspecting each one in turn. Fortunately, this is where those separated sprites come in handy. I made everyone who's not belted in randomly jiggle their torso left and right to signal the eye. This is probably going to need a lot more testing, but the primary gameplay loop is in place, complete with success and failure state animations, so now it's just testing, complexity, and polish. There are 2 more kinds of deviants to add, as well as the unbelted ones, backrest lowerers, and device users, both of which need to be noticeable from scanning the crowd, the former by being obviously tilted, the latter by not moving at all and staring continually downwards. Music and sound wouldn't go amiss. I want to create a variety of passenger torso and head shapes, and some hairdos, for the sake of more visual flair. After that, we'll see how much time remains for the last bits of polish. I'm thinking about passengers pressing call buttons as an extra gameplay complication. In any case, we're well on track for the end of the month. By the way, take a closer look at that bubble animation. It starts small, expands to full size as it rises, then sinks slowly back down to its starting point. Probably didn't register that, did you? But I'm pointing it out so you bloody well appreciate the scripting that went into it. It's one of those little juiciness elements that you don't really notice, but which you'd miss if it went away, and which generally make a game a more cathartic experience. Here's some homework for you. Start up one of your favourite games and try to count all the little animations and sounds that play, just from selecting menu buttons and navigating the interface. You might be surprised by how many there are. And each one of them had to be deliberately coded in by someone. Yeah, look grateful. If you want advice on how to add satisfying juiciness, I found a good rule of thumb to be quick rise to peak, slow descent. An animation that starts at neutral, quickly comes to a peak or punchy moment, then slowly returns to neutral. So that's almost literally what my bubble's doing. It rises, the peak hits when it reaches full size and maximum height, then it slowly comes back down. But you can see this principle everywhere once you start looking for it. Taking a completely random example, Just Shapes and Beats is a very punchy game with a very juicy interface. When I mouse over one of the menu options, the animation plays so fast you barely register it, but if I slow it down, you can see the text quickly moves to position, whites out to signal the peak, then repositions and fades the white out for the slower descent. You can also apply the quick rise, peak, slow descent principle to the sound design. Listen to the sound of Mario picking up a coin. Ba-ding! So we have the quick buh, the peak is at the start of the ding, and the rest of the ding is the descent. Obviously, an animation professional could better explain why this works. I'm just telling you what I've learned, scrappy, self-taught jack-of-all-trades that I am. If there is a specific thing you'd like explained about the game and my process in general, feel free to leave a question in the comments, either on the Escapist or YouTube, and I might just address it in future videos. For now, here's one that's already been cropping up. I'm using Game Maker Studio 2 by Yo-Yo Games for this, and probably all my projects, the same thing I used for Hatfall and Consuming Shadow, and this puts me in good company. Hotline Miami, Gunpoint, Hyper Light Drifter, Katana Zero, Risk of Rain, fucking Undertale, lest we forget, one of my favourite games in recent years, all developed in GMS. It's probably the best dev tool out there, provided you're happy to stick with 2D graphics, otherwise you might be making things needlessly hard for yourself. GMS also integrates a lot of the different elements of game design into one suite, so it's handy if you are interested in solo and small team game development. And why wouldn't you be? I mean, the barrier to entry for developing and selling a commercial game is so low these days. But more importantly, the next Undertale, the next Minecraft, the next explosive indie hit that defines the era is not going to come from money-minded committees knocking off whatever was popular yesterday. It's going to come from passionate weirdos making fringe ideas that appeal to them. You know that weird idea at the back of your mind that you keep thinking about but you're not sure anyone else would like or understand? Yeah, make that. You might have the next big thing in your hands right there, boyo. Perhaps not likely, but neither is you getting to make out with a beautiful Valkyrie and you still brush your teeth every night.